If he was in today's game, this would be £100 million for this player.
Nothing surprises me in football, but I have to say this surprised me a little bit. The job that Unai Emery's done is phenomenal.
We had loads from Hartlepool fans asking about your relationship with Raj Singh, and is there anything that you can share on that? Would managing Sunderland be your dream managerial job?
Me and Big Sam would be a great combination up there.
Did you feel unlucky that you got less than 10 caps for England, given how many goals you were scoring, and what do you put it down to? Welcome to another episode of No Tippy Tappy Football, brought to you by William Hill. We are filming this on a Wednesday morning, the Wednesday after City beat Spurs. So, Sam, you can imagine how happy I am.
I can see that. Big smile as usual. Like, I mean, you've not been miserable at all this reeling, have you? Apart from losing to Real Madrid, that would be the only disappointment. But I think that looks like 4 on the trot, doesn't it? The record of the great Sir Alex Ferguson broken, who's the man to do 3 on the trot. So it's looking good for Man City. Can't see the slip up now after last night's game on Tottenham, where apart from a couple of saves from the goalkeeper, it was that edgy sort of game at the end of the season that you see, of course. And we saw that last week with Arsenal against Man United, that 1-0. And then again, I'll mention it again just before the end of the season. It's all about that defending. Yeah. Clean sheet for Arsenal, clean sheet for Man City. Well, wins you the title.
I want to talk about City a little bit more, but before we do, let's introduce our guest for today, shall we?
Another special guest we're very, very pleased to have with us today. And of course, if he was in today's game, this would be £100 million for this player. I'm telling you now, you might well laugh or you might well hear him laugh, but in today's valuations, goals are everything in terms of where you want to go. So it's a big welcome to Kevin Phillips. Kevin, thank you very much for coming.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, pleasure.
Looking forward to it. Cheers. That was a great introduction.
That's right. Thank you.
Makes me feel great.
That's what we like to do here on No Tippy Tappy Football.
Well, you're looking great. Yeah, good tan like me. I mean, I've been to Miami recently, but you said it's come from the back garden. Yeah,
in the northeast. I think the weather's a bit different in the northeast to Miami. Yeah, I'm looking forward to a nice break now.
Well, looking forward to delving into your current career, your past career as well. But we've got a couple of football things that we need to tick off first of all. And that is, of course, Manchester City. Did you watch the game last night?
I didn't watch it. I was busy last night, but I've watched City an awful lot this season. They're one team that I love watching and I hate missing them. Them and Arsenal this season have played some amazing football, and I can't see him slipping up, as you said, Sam. People listening to radio stations driving down this morning saying that you never know. You've seen what happened with the QPR game years ago. I don't see that happening at the weekend. They are they're the best team in the world. Simple as that. And Arsenal have done a fantastic job, but never write Man City off. Even when they've had that slight sticky patch, you never write them off because they have got world-class players, and 4 in a row is incredible. And glad that I've seen it in my lifetime.
Oh, I like that. Yes, I like that. 4 in a row. When you speak to Sir Alex, will you ask him how he feels?
He'll be fine. He'll be the first on the phone to Pep, congratulating him. I think he did that last season. So I think he'll pick the phone up and say, say well done. He's extremely good at that sort of stuff, Sir Alex, and I think that when we see the quality of the top 2 this time round, perhaps the top 3, which is Liverpool to go with that, who's going to be in transition, which is going to be very difficult for them to find the right person. But, we've got to give a lot of credit out to Aston Villa, because people must always and continue to break the mould in the Premier League if it's to be as exciting as it is. So for Aston Villa to get the top 4, it is a great achievement, and I think, and the sad thing is down the bottom for the first time. We've had the 3 that came up that go down on the lowest points total of all 3 ever, which is really disappointing, and that's one of the problems that we will, or the Premier League will face. That if that level of performances happens where nobody breaks there and goes there or up here and nobody upsets there, then it can become a little a little bit monotonous in terms of what we're watching, of course. So the beauty of the Premier League across the whole world is that, you know, the bottom three can beat any of the top three at any time, and that's very, very important. That's still obviously not to the clubs, they don't want that, but to maintain the excitement in the Premier League across the world, that's why it's so exciting.
Absolutely. And yeah, a big congratulations to Aston Villa. I love the pictures of them celebrating last night. I loved it.
Yeah, I think the job that Unai Emery's done is phenomenal. You know, from what happened at Arsenal to go away and then to come back to the Premier League and do what he's done. You know, with a team that the players that he's acquired there and what he's got out of them. You know, someone like John McGinn. You know, to give him the captaincy. Steven Gerrard give him the captaincy, and there was a lot of questions because I live in the area and I played for the club. And I speak to a lot of Aston Villa fans, and they were a bit sceptical. So they thought Tyrone Mings was the natural leader. But John McGinn, you know, he's like one of those unsung heroes, and you know, superb player.
He is one leader, Kevin, by the way.
Is he? Yeah.
Listen, I've stood on the touchline at West Bromwich Albion when we played Villa home and away. Yeah. I tell you, he is. I don't know whether all his players can understand him with his Scottish accent. And certainly some of the foreigners might not like him, but he's at it all the time, not just in his performance, but what he's saying and what he's talking about.
And it's great to hear, isn't it? Ollie Watkins as well. He's on 19 Premier League goals. You know,
and assists. I think he's got the most assists as well.
He's just improved him, you know, and that's what he does. He's improved these players.
Yeah. Which is interesting from your point of view, where this is me looking on the coaching perspective about and I listen to Paul Merson, people talking about how he's changed him, because like Dean Smith, who's the main instigator, why he's there, has changed. He's changed his game, Unai Emery, by keeping him in the width of the box. You don't see him as much outside at the wide left and the wide right, which we used to see him before. Yeah. But there seems to be, and I don't know that this has happened with his touch and his awareness and his ability to beat a centre half now and not just finish, but his overall game seems to have improved by a considerable amount, more than I would have expected in his overall talent now.
I think that just comes from more experience in the Premier League, playing against better players week in and week out. You know you have to improve, and he's clearly a good player. You've seen it over the years where players don't improve, but he's suited to the Premier League. And I think you're right in what you say, Sam. He plays within the width of the 18-yard box. He plays on the last man as well. He doesn't take too many touches on the ball. He'll set, link and move. And his movement is excellent. And that just comes from practicing on the training ground. And I think also having a manager that gives you the freedom, the license to go and play and do what you do, not putting too much pressure on him. If he goes a couple of games without a goal, don't worry about it. It's coming. And, you know, and it's amazing the results they got. So he's been fantastic. But the whole Villa squad has been exceptional this year.
Big John McGinn fan. I'm Scottish, so big John McGinn fan. Very much looking forward to him doing it again in the summer. So congratulations to Aston Villa. Definitely got into the Champions League. We do have a show next week and the week after as well. So we'll talk about whoever does win the Premier League next week. But something else before we get into you, Kevin. We've got a bone to pick, Sam. I'm furious, absolutely furious.
Oh my word, I'm upset now. I'm shocked.
Neil Warnock lied to our faces.
Oh, Neil.
Neil Warnock.
He's at it again, isn't he?
2 weeks ago.
I mean, I thought couldn't leave it alone, like and all that, but Neil's at it again, isn't he?
2 weeks ago.
This time it's Torquay, you said, yeah?
Torquay. He's gone in as an advisor, but he sat here 2 weeks ago and said to us that he was done with football. He wanted to be his son's caddy and spend time with his grandkids. And I asked him like a big farewell question, like, what do you want us to remember from you with football? And I thought it was a lovely moment. And then he's just tweeted this morning that he's going to Torquay. And
it's a big distance from Aberdeen to Torquay. From one end of the country right the way to the other. Like, I mean, he's a glutton for punishment, isn't he? I mean, let's face it. You know, I don't know what he's going to or think he's going to achieve. It must be usual, obviously. Probably think he'll go in short term and try and help him out.
Very best of luck to him. Very best of luck to Torquay. You've had a difficult period with ownership. So very best of luck to our Neil. And I'm putting that on our list as number 12 job. Same person's had 2 jobs off this podcast, but I'm putting it as number 12.
Well, you're right.
Yes, 12 we've had now.
So, Kevin, we may be a bit of a magic touch for you. Because, go on. Natalie, how many people have got jobs after they've been
11 people, 12 jobs, I think.
Right.
Wow.
Have been on and then got a job straight away.
There we go.
Expecting a phone to ring there.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
We're a lucky charm.
we are a lucky charm.
So in that aspect then, time to talk about you. So you were most recently at Hartlepool. You left a couple of weeks ago, which was a surprise to a lot of fans. I mean, Jeff Stelling was fuming. I heard him on radio. He was absolutely fuming. What happened?
I was surprised. It's a bit of a strange one, if I'm being honest. It's, I've been in football a long time, obviously not as long as Sam, but nothing surprises me in football. But I have to say, this surprised me a little bit. Didn't see it coming. I went in January. I was delighted to get the job. I went for a thorough process, 3 interviews, and got the job, and delighted. I went in at a difficult time when they were, I think, 6th or 7th from bottom, conceded the most goals in the league. So I knew the job I had to do, and the criteria and the conditions were to hit a certain amount of points, improve the squad that we had, try and add to the squad. And we did all that. And, we reached the 60-point mark, which I had to, which when I went in there looked so totally unrealistic with the season they'd had. So we went in and, we got the job done. And 2 weeks before the season finished, I had a meeting with the owner, and he informed me that he would like to reward me and offer me a new 2-year deal, which I was delighted, because I could see the project and being involved in it. I could see us moving forward. And then 2 weeks later, I got another phone call to say that they decided to go in a different way.
Have you found out why?
I haven't found out.
Are they appointed a director of football?
They had a director of football there
before you got there, or while you were there.
They appointed. So from the first interview I had with the manager, the owner, within that 2-week period, when I found out I wasn't going to be retained, they appointed a new board, and
that's it then.
Yeah, I had to
some agent, some director of football, or some agent particularly, has got a board member or a new board member that's got a particular man to go into the football club, which is. This is my opinion anyway. Why?
It's hard enough anyway for young British coaches, and
it is.
Hence why a lot of them, don't even go down the route of getting their badges, because they just know there's no opportunities out.
But it's far too expensive to it's not just expensive to do the badge; it's expensive to keep up the. If you're not working, it's every 2 years or 3 years you have to do the CPD, like you mean, and that's a few grand again, And
so it's disappointing.
So it's disappointing.
It's football, we accept the decisions.
Well, I hope you get the chance.
It now.
Yeah, I really hope you get the chance somewhere else, like you mean, and if it's not in management, if anybody offers you a coaching job, because the old manager John McGrath told me many years ago at Preston, you're much better, Sam, getting a job when you're in a job.
Of course, yeah.
Rather than because when you're scratching around and eventually you'll take something that is there, and perhaps you felt that you were more better suited or think you should be higher, but you have to go there to get back in the game again and go back building another reputation to the one before, like you mean. So I wish you all the very best there. And
we'll enjoy a break now. Enjoy the Euros and see what happens. Unfortunately, we're at a stage of season, as you well know, that managers, are not really in position. If they'd have left their job, they probably would have left it by now.
Yeah.
The season, certainly at the National League.
Been November again.
Yeah, again, it's the second season at the end of September, October. Yeah, so so we'll enjoy the summer.
We always ask our listeners if they'd like to send in questions. You can always, if you'd like to send in a question, we have an Instagram, we have a Twitter, you can reply to comments on the YouTube videos. We had loads from Hartlepool fans asking about your relationship with Raj Singh, and is there anything that you can share on that?
I have to say, I had a good relationship with him. From the minute I went in, he's the owner of the football club. He doesn't want his teams to get relegated. So I went in, everything I asked for, the players that I felt we needed to stay in the league and what we needed off the pitch, never said no to me. So I can't say anything.
Oh, that's good support then.
Yeah, it was great support. And
so somebody else has got in his ear.
Maybe. I think, he perhaps listens to too many people. If that's my honest opinion, as a lot of chairmen do.
That's football in general now. Yeah,
so I accept that. It's one of those. And, the only thing I would say, when you look at the history of that football club, they've had 12 or 13 managers in the last 7 years.
Yeah.
You know, the only time they had a bit of stability over 2 year was the Stockport manager, Challoner, who got them promoted because he was there for 2 years. So that kind of suggests you give someone an opportunity, you know, they could get results for you. So, you know, 13 managers in 7 years is way too much. So I have to say, you know, apart from that phone call where he said I no longer had a job, I didn't have an issue with it.
Well, I always used to go around, but and when I got more experience about where's my wage bill, and where's my wage bill in relation to where we are in the league with everybody else's wage bill, because there's been a lot of books written on the fact that you are only, in most terms, within 2 or 3 places going to finish where your wage bill is. So there's a lot of mathematical research done on like how football clubs play and where they play, and they brought up a lot of conclusions on if your wage bill is there, generally you'll finish there or one place below or 1 or 2 places above, and if you do any more than that, you're pitching way above your weight and will not be able to continue to do it. Which is then very dangerous for you, because next year when it doesn't happen, you end up, you've always, you know, taking as long, you get the sack. But like there's always a level of talking about financing and saying, gentlemen, like you mean, or what we are doing and where we are going is if we need to find out how we can increase our budget to get better players to increase our income, and that's a way of talking about. If I finish above here, I've done a good job. But of course, then and that really doesn't matter if somebody's got in somebody else's ear and then want to bring in that I've got the perfect manager for you, and that happens across the board. Like you mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So you'd like to get back into management?
Yeah, 100%. You know, I've had a taste of it. I started lower down at South Shields, managed to get them promoted, and you know, that natural progression in a managerial career, and then I moved to the National League. And I've had a couple of offers, the league below the National League, but I just feel for my own progression, I don't really want to step back down. I'd rather continue to go up. So, yeah, of course, I'd like to get back in, but I know it's extreme. It took me 9 months to get into Hartlepool, and the longer you leave it, it can become even longer. So I will be, as I say, there's not many opportunities to apply for jobs at the moment. We have to wait for the September, October time, and then I'll give it my best shot then.
A lot of questions as well about Sunderland.
Why? I wouldn't imagine that. Why? Why not?
But the number one
Phillips and Quinn. What a combination.
What a combination.
Along with Reedy.
Yes. Would managing Sunderland be your dream managerial job? Would you like to do that?
I'm not going to lie, you know, it's...
Get him in now.
Yeah.
Are they looking for a manager again?
I think so. I think they still are.
Listen, me and Big Sam would be a great combination up there. Hey, I'll just put it out there.
Well, I had a lovely time. The Sunderland fans were... very, very appreciating towards me, like you mean. So
they speak.
It was very good.
I spent a lot of time up there. And
who knows? Had I not got the England job, you know, because I've been there a long time.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. But you know, you can't turn down England, can you?
No, can you? No.
But yeah, of course, you know, I'm not going to sit here and say no. It's a big club, big football club. I know it inside out, and you know, from the outside looking in, you know, I'm as frustrated as any Sunderland fan watching. You know, the season after season, especially this season, they finished very disappointing.
Yeah.
You know, where they go from now, what they do, who they appoint over the summer is so critical and crucial that they get the right appointment. And with the model they've got in place at the moment, do I agree with it? Probably not. You know, the young kids at that league, it's very, very difficult. If you're not prepared, as you know, Sam, to bring in experienced players within that squad, especially in the Championship, it can become very, very difficult. So I think the next appointment is really crucial.
So if it's not an Allardyce Phillips combo for Sunderland...
Start emotion there.
Who would you like to see go in at Sunderland as a Sunderland fan?
Boy, that's the $1 million question, isn't it? It's I'd love to see someone British given an opportunity. You know, I know that there's a lot of foreign managers being linked with a job, a lot of managers that I've never heard of. You know, managers in Germany are in Division 1 out there.
We've got an epidemic of foreign managers in this country, you know that, don't you?
You know, do you know what? Someone said I played golf up in the northeast during the week with a big Sunderland fan, and he mentioned, which I think who got sacked harshly, Liam Rossini. I think.
He did get sacked harshly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
But why is he gone? There's another one.
Yeah. They finished 3 points outside the playoffs when he took over. They were a point outside the relegation zone.
Yeah.
He's a fantastic coach. He worked well with Rooney when there's, he did
Derby. Yeah.
Yeah, Derby did a great job there, and he stepped up to management. And he's young. And when this guy mentioned it, I thought, quite like that one. Quite like that. I know Paul Heckingbottom's been mentioned as well, but unfortunately, what I'm hearing is
look what happened to Paul.
Yeah, exactly.
Punched above his weight.
Yeah, got him up.
Should never have got promoted with that squad. Then they go and sell the best players they had anyway. And then I don't know, 18, 20 odd games in, Sheffield United at the bottom of the league, and
someone along that.
He gets sacked for that.
Absolutely.
I mean, he gets sacked for being too successful.
Yeah.
Instead of letting him come back down and then rebuilding the squad and then going back up, which rarely happens. I mean, the only last time that happened was with Sean Dyche at Burnley. When Sean started getting Burnley up, it went down. They stayed with him, and which is what they're doing again now. I think he's staying in. Vincent. So they'll have a great. I'll tip Burnley to go back up now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then they'll get more finance, then get stronger, then learn the lesson from this season. And hopefully, if I had any advice for him, you can't always keep playing the way you want to play. If you want to survive in the Premier League, you have to change your own beliefs or thoughts for a particular reason or one particular game to get a result against the opposition. So
it's funny you say that, Sam, because I remember listening to yourself. Someone asked you the question about philosophy and do you want to change, and you said the biggest thing has been adaptability.
Yeah.
I remember you saying that about you have to adapt, because at the end of the day it's about getting results. And if you have to change your philosophy for a couple of games to get a result, then you do it. You do it, because ultimately if you don't, you will suffer for it. And I've used that in my managerial, my short managerial career. I have a style and philosophy that I want to play, but I have no issues of changing it for a game. I wouldn't change it every week to suit the opposition. You got to stick by it. But if I have to do it for 1 week, then you do it.
Yeah.
Simple. But Liam Messina would be a good shout for me.
So a British manager in, you fancy a young British manager in for Sunderland. Yeah. Lovely. Right. I think the Sunderland fans will be happy with that.
Well, I hope they've got I hope the club's stability in terms of their financing as well is stable. Is stable now, like you mean, because I don't know. Probably some Sunderland fans won't like me saying this, but I had no problem with Ellis Short. Only support, and and in the end, because of that relationship, we ended up together finding it, or he found enough money to support that difference I needed in January with them 4 players we brought in. And then, I think 3 we bought and 1 we had on loan. And they made a massive difference to the club, and defensively we became a lot more solid, a lot sounder. And of course, because we had Jermaine Defoe, which is a bit like Kevin, we had a goal scorer to win us 3 points instead of 1. Yep. So I think we only lost 1 in the last 11, but he supported me at the right time in January when he was already fed up of how much money he'd put into the club. But mind you, in all fairness to Ellis, a lot of his decisions were his fault as well, which I think he admitted to in the end. But I mean, he'd had enough in the end and just wanted to get out, which is because they fought relegation that long and that often, changing managers to save them. I mean, I think I was about the 4th, maybe at least the 3rd. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then Sunderland, as a football club, as is like Newcastle, it's one you want across the country. You want all areas across the country to be represented in. There's nothing better than the Sunderland-Newcastle derby.
Oh, yeah. What a derby that is. What a derby. Now, talking about the Championship, teams that are going up from the Championship, of course, Ipswich going up.
Oh, what a coach, by the way.
So last week, Sam, you mentioned Keiran McKenna and you indicated that you knew something that you weren't allowed to tell us. Well, in the last week or so, since then, he's been linked with the Manchester United job. Is that what you knew? Do you know
No, I
about that?
didn't know that. No, I had no idea about that at all. I seriously can't see, as good a young coach as he is, it's too early. Man United. This should be as is myself, should be the ultimate ambition when you're setting off to set to the highest level you possibly can get. And then as you go along and the opportunity come that way, listen, I could have stayed at Bolton forever. But because of the lack of ambition, as I've said before, it stopped suiting my ambition, sadly. And it brought me out when I left, but my mind told me I had to go. And because things at the clubs after that, sadly, didn't work out for me, it took me down the levels of where I was hopefully I was going to get. And then ultimately with Sunderland, I got to the best job ever, which was England, of course. But had I continued the success as I hoped at Newcastle, and I take the blame if it's my fault, but that as a new ownership wasn't my particular fault, as is the same with Blackburn. Rebuilding Blackburn back, but then new owners come again and go, well, some agent's got this manager in place or wants to put this manager, and that happens. So, there's the old highs and lows of football in one go, if you like.
I just hope that,
But he is a great
he's done
coach.
What a wonderful job, and you don't hear anything but good things about him. And my only concern now is Ipswich in the Premier League. That we've seen
like a Sheffield United, isn't it?
You lose the first 8 out of 10 games, all of a sudden the pressure's on him. The media are on his back. He can't manage in the Premier League. I just forget about that now. He's proved his worth. Leave him in the job for the whole season. If they get relegated, do what we said earlier. Keep him in again. He'll get you promoted.
You seriously can't consider losing him as the manager when he's done back-to-back promotion.
But we've seen it, haven't we? It's just...
You know what I mean? My advice to him, and this will be sad for Ipswich fans, is he has to seriously consider if somebody else comes in for him. If he's not supported well enough by Ipswich. And then when I say supported, I mean about the financial support needed to pay. Yeah. They're going to get shocked, Ipswich board, unless there's somebody there with the experience of the Premier League. They're going to be shocked by how far the wage bill will need to go to survive.
Yeah.
So Ed Sheeran has to get involved there.
Yeah. Did you see all the videos of him celebrating with them?
I would imagine their wage bill would be probably 12 million quid.
Right.
At a guess.
Yeah.
And if he's got promotions in second place automatically on 12 million quid, that is fighting way, way above your weight. That will probably need to go to at least 60 million, 50 million.
In the Premier League?
Yeah.
Some jump.
Wow. So Ipswich went up automatically.
But that's only going to be 50% of what they're going to earn.
Yeah.
Because you've earned 120 million at least, don't you now? And maybe 140 million.
It's figures that mean nothing to me, really. It's just...
Not support Man City.
Yeah. No. Well, you could treble. Yeah. You could quadruple them figures. Quadruple them figures for Man City.
I meant as a humble football fan.
I hope he does well anyway. So
you played in one of the most famous sort of playoff games. Sunderland lost on penalties to Charlton in a season where you scored 35 goals. What's your memories of that game in that season?
I didn't finish the game, and I blame it on Reedy taking us away for one of his classic team bonding meetings. I probably indulged a little bit too much. We played in the second leg of the playoffs against Sheffield United at home, and I received a dead leg in the game, and I didn't come off. I got through the game, but I couldn't train for at least a week, and we went away at the Marriott in Worsley. Had a good weekend because we had a 10-day gap before the final. So I only trained 3 days before the final, and it was a red hot day, as it always is, the championship playoff final at the old Wembley, which was a dream for me. First time I'd ever played there. And I went into the game, full of confidence. If I'd have scored, I went in on 34 goals, and if I'd have scored one more, I was breaking Brian Clough's post-war record for goals in a season. So, I had a lot going on, and I was desperate to do it. And I managed to get the goal, but I couldn't last the game. So I had to come off in about, I think, the 68th minute. And I sat next to
Sacco, yeah.
Sacco.
Yeah.
It was fantastic for Peter Reid. You know, their combination was unbelievable. Yeah. And I watched the game unfold in front of my eyes, and I couldn't do anything about it. You know, I knew if I was out there, Clive Mendonca gets a hat-trick, I'm thinking, I'll get a hat-trick if I'm out there. But I just remember Sacco sitting there and he's shouting to Pardew, not worrying about what's going on in the game. He's just shouting at Pardew, just tell your centre-halves to hit it down the middle. He said, and you'll score. He said, because we can't defend, we're rubbish. He'd lost it on the bench because every time they attacked, they had scored. He was like, I think, Bobby, you any chance of like supporting our team? So I watched the game unfold, and obviously when we lost on penalties, it was... I was harsh on myself because I thought if I was out there, I could have maybe done something about it. I would have took a penalty, and Mickey probably wouldn't have had to take a penalty. Mickey Gray missed. So it was a terrible day, a disappointing day. But in hindsight, and you know, people kind of raised eyebrows afterwards when I said I think it was probably a blessing that we didn't go up that season because we had young players. Yeah. And I felt if we'd have gone into the Premier League, we'd have got beat comfortably every week. So it proved right in the end because those young players then had another season in the Championship to progress, develop. And then when we went into the Premier League, we finished 7th that first season. So as much as we had huge heartache, we learnt a lot from it, and we took it into the next season, and it benefited us.
So did you not go down in the first season?
In the Premier League? Yeah. No, we finished 7th 2 seasons on the bounce.
So when did they get relegated?
So they got relegated the first 2 seasons. I went in 98.
Oh, so you were after
99, 2000. We got relegated.
So how long had Reedy been managed then? When you went?
He'd been...
So he'd got them promoted and they'd been relegated, and you came whenever... Because I was...
Yeah, I joined when they got relegated out of the...
Right. Because I left and I went to Notts County. So, because they were doing the documentary on Reedy while they were in the Premier League, like you mean, and I'm doing the academy there, like you mean, setting up the academy for him because it needed revamping, of course. And like I'm in the background whenever I could be because I wanted to see what's happening in the Premier League. You know what I mean?
The Championship playoff final, though, is something else, isn't it? And one of the best games of the season. I mean, domestically, it just is, isn't it? It's one of the biggest, most important games of the season.
It is, and you know, people told me that getting promoted out the Championship via the playoff final is the best feeling ever. And I didn't agree with that because I'd lost 3 playoff finals. For me,
nothing worse than that.
Yeah, nobody wants to lose at Wembley, whatever it is. It's the worst feeling ever, and especially the playoff final because you've got an extra 2 weeks of your holiday. You know, if you don't, you've wasted. Yeah. You know, that's the way footballers look at it. So, you know, eventually when I did go up for Crystal Palace, I have to agree it is. You know, you've done it, Sam, haven't you? So you was the manager at West Ham when you beat us, Blackpool. Yeah. You know, and you know that feeling when that final whistle goes, those extra 2 weeks, that extra bit of training, hard work, the elation, all the emotions that come out of you are incredible. And, you know, when that whistle went for when we won against Watford for Crystal Palace, it's an incredible feeling, because you just know how much it means to the football club, the fans, financially, and for every player's career as well, going into the Premier League. So, yeah, it's an amazing way to go up.
I had 2 beta blockers before the final.
Why?
Calm my heart down.
Well, we were actually, I think,
against Blackpool.
If Matty Phillips would have had his shooting,
would have
had an
that's right.
First
I thank Matty. When I went to West Brom, he's just getting back in the team and just recovering from COVID. It really hit him hard. Like I mean, had to really nurse him back to it. Like, brilliant attitude to consider we're down at the bottom all the time. Really worked hard. Really good numbers in terms of. And I said, "Thank you, Matty." He goes, "What?" I said, "For your
missus."
Your missus. He pissed off. He said, "Very good. Piss off with you." I mean, that was very. I mean, we'd beaten Blackpool home and away, and cruised it. You know, in fact, we won with 10 men at Blackpool, and every West Ham fan had gone there, and directors and press and everything, saying this is going to be a breeze. And I think even some of the players, because I'm going, hey, they've been to the playoffs before, they know what it's all about. They don't underestimate what. And it was such a difficult game for us. Yeah. And of course, like everything else, you miss your chances at one end, you're going to get punished at the other. And Carlton Cole and Ricardo Vaz Teo won us the tie 2-1. But it was absolutely, for me, so much relief. It was horrendous watching.
I can imagine.
Because you lose it, and you lose it to Blackpool.
Yeah.
You're West Ham, and you're losing it to Blackpool's. I've managed Blackpool down in the lower division, so it really was torture in terms of this is everything. Because everybody expected us to be the ones, and we managed to clinch it in the end. And West Ham are still there.
Yeah.
Longest spell in the Premier League they've ever had.
Can't wait.
Palace is still there as well.
Yeah.
Palace, yeah.
Still there.
Another club I enjoy managing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got the record for managing Premier League clubs, you know that, don't you?
Well, in terms of records, I mean, you were a pretty prolific goal scorer in your time. If we talk about that season, you got 35 goals. The 99-2000 season, 30 goals. You got the European Golden Shoe. Why was it called
never heard
shoe?
of.
Is it not a boot?
Why was it shoe?
I haven't got a clue.
Does it look like a shoe?
It's exactly the same, pretty much, as the Premier League Golden Boot. It's as a striker when you're growing up, I grew up watching Linekers and the Ian Wrights and watching them win Golden Boots. And as a young striker, you dream of stuff like that. So when we got into the Premier League that first season, although I'd gone in, I'd scored 60 goals in my first 2 seasons at Sunderland. The jump, from the Championship to the Premier League is huge. So I never envisaged that I would finish that season on 30 league goals, and to get recognised in terms of the Premier League Golden Boot was amazing for me. It was a dream come true. But then it was about a week after the season finished, I got a message. I can't remember how it was, but I got told that you've won the European Golden Shoe, and I was like, I didn't even know what it was. I was like, Golden Shoe, what's this? And they said, well, you're the top goal scorer in the whole of Europe. I was like, wow. I didn't even know there was such a thing.
Well, neither did I.
So you've got, you're alongside Shevchenko, he's won it. I was like, wow. I said, that's just incredible. I said, when do I get the shoe? They said, well, they've invited you over to a meal at the beginning of next season in Geneva, I think it was.
That's right, yeah.
To go and receive the boot amongst all these,
elite
top people, the elite. So I was like, yeah, brilliant. And it's sod's law when the fixtures come out next season. It was on a Tuesday night and we had a game at home at the Stadium of Light. So I was like, can't we move the game? It's like, no, we can't move the game. So they give me the boot before the game in front of the crowd, which was nice. In front of our own fans, but I'd love to have gone over there. So yeah, for me to win those 2, I'm still, unfortunately, Harry Kane's going to pick that up now, but I'm still to this day the only Englishman to have won it. He's not a bad person to lose it to in Harry Kane.
How many is he on?
He's 36, is he? 36 league goals, 37.
Is it funny how, for me, it's not quite as good a statement or sound as good, but that league seems to be a lot easier than the Premier League.
The Bundesliga?
The Bundesliga.
Yeah, I would say, especially when
you've got Sancho getting to the final, who couldn't,
Yeah.
Forget about the fallout with the manager. He didn't play very well for Man United. That's why he had a fallout with the manager. Because when we watched him, or when I watched him, I'm thinking, where is this talent?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he had opportunity after opportunity, and it didn't quite work. But he goes to the Bundesliga again, and Harry Kane. We always know Harry's a goal scorer. He got 30 goals in his last season in the Premier League, and now he's got 40 nearly.
I think 40 odd in all competitions.
Yeah,
40 plus
in his first season.
Yeah.
And you would consider his first season to be a settling in. Doesn't know the language,
Yeah.
Is the Golden Shoe league goals then, or all goals?
League goals.
Yeah.
So a fantastic league, but seems to be, from the point of view of what you look at the Premier League, it's much tougher in the Premier League to score goals is in the Bundesliga.
For Bayern Munich against the teams in the bottom.
Yeah.
Well, against most of the teams in that league, he's getting opportunity after opportunity, and you give opportunities to a top class goal scorer, they're going to score. Classic case is Haaland. I can't believe when I hear people criticise Haaland. He's for maybe
for what?
Yeah, exactly. When you hear he doesn't track, I don't care. He's been brought to that club to score goals, and he scores goals. It's as simple as that.
How many is it now?
27 Premier League goals this season.
And how many games do you miss? 10?
Good few, yeah. I think he's played 22 games, 23 games, maybe slightly more now, yeah.
And still criticise.
Yeah. Maybe a few more.
But I mean, Pep's built the whole restructuring of the team around him being or arriving. You know what I mean? He's restructured all of his final third play because with Aguero, particularly because he was the man, wasn't he?
Yeah.
You know, he was the man to be close to Haaland, which was a different way and a different type, you know what I mean? Now it's restructured about, you know, everybody else around him is there to provide the final third.
But they're crossing the ball a bit more as well, don't they?
That's what I'm saying, because this one really stood out for me, not this goal, but the one he scored with his head.
The Wolves, like the flying header.
The header where I've never seen him be that aggressive in the air and provide so much power and accuracy with that header, because that was not an easy header in that angle to score. But he's gone and above the defender and bump, he's put it right back across the goal in the side netting, like I mean.
Well, it's funny you should talk about Haaland there, because I was going to bring it up, because in terms of the team of the season, Jamie Carragher went for Watkins, Gary Neville went for Haaland. Who would you have picked for your team of the year? Striker?
Well, it'd be him again, wouldn't it? He's got more goals and he's got the Premier League from that point of view, you know what I mean? I think that he's...
I can see why the case is argued for Ollie Watkins, because, you know, where they finished...
His best season ever, where they finished,
And to score goals, you know, in a team that finishes fourth, he's had a phenomenal season. But Haaland is going to win the Premier League. They're probably going to win the FA Cup as well. So the domestic double. You know, there was a debate this morning about who's going to get manager of the year. Unai Emery certainly comes into that category. But if Guardiola wins
you mean manager in the Premier League?
Yeah. He has a shout. But for me, it'd be Guardiola.
Well, it depends which one you think, whether manager of the year, the LMA, or manager of the year at the press.
Why? What's the difference?
Well, the manager of the year with the LMA is much more prestigious award than the press, isn't it?
Who votes for the LMA one?
All the managers.
For people that are in the LMA?
All managers and all...
Who do you think they'll go for this season then?
Well,
because what they'll do, they analyse and just appreciate.
There is another one about the manager for everybody to say he's done the best with his, which is a good award. The manager gets, they award every manager in every division, right? And then of course they've got your manager of the year for the Premier League, and then you've got the manager who's done the most with whatever resources have been available to him, which I would give it to. I'd give it to the Ipswich manager. I'd give it to, what he's achieved. My personal point of view, he's done so. He's come out of the blue and done with the resources they got available. Back-to-back promotions, coming out of League One into the Championship, coming out of the Championship in the first year you're there and getting promoted to the Premier League. I mean, it's just brilliant. But I'm not so sure other managers will think like me, but I'm certainly going to go that way. But if it's not, you know, who else would it be other than Pep? 4 wins on the trot.
And like you say, possibly
fourth Premier Leagues on, you know. But we'll wait and see.
We'll wait and see. So other questions that we got sent in by our listeners. Thank you very much, everybody that sends in questions. Several questions asked, did you feel unlucky that you got less than 10 caps for England, given how many goals you were scoring, and what do you put it down to?
For me, the way I look at it, I'm privileged to have got 8 caps for England. I was in every squad for 2 years. I went to Euro 2000. That wasn't very successful. And the way I look at it and the way I answer it is, what Sam alluded to earlier, you know, if I was playing now, I might be worth whatever, 100 million. When I was playing in and scoring those goals, I was competing with probably 7 or 8 top strikers. Playing for Sunderland, remember, and that's no disrespect to Sunderland. If I was doing that now, I'd probably get 30, 40, 50 caps for England. So maybe I'm being humble, but I'm privileged to have got 8 caps in amongst the Shearers, the Owens, the Fowlers.
There's very little competition now, isn't there?
There's no competition.
There's not like then. The competition of England strikers then.
My only grievances, or my only slight bitterness, is I didn't get any minutes on the pitch in Euro 2000. You know, when we got knocked out in the group stages, and I remember one game where I'm literally, the game's going on behind me and I'm standing looking at Kevin Keegan, like stretching in front of him as if to say, get me on the pitch. I've just come off the back of 30 league goals. So I didn't get any minutes on the pitch. It was a great experience, don't get me wrong, but I'd love to have had some time on the pitch in a major competition. So privileged to have got 8 caps.
Should have been more. Should have been more. Sam, did you ever try and sign Kevin at any point? Did he ever come up on?
I could never get him at that, and where it was at that particular time. No, I don't think it ever came up at that particular time. Wherever he wasn't available, and I probably couldn't afford him anyway. Because our limited budget, particularly at Bolton, because it would have only been at Bolton. Our budget was based around loan in the first three seasons at least, was based around loans and free transfers, which ultimately came, as much as I promote British coaches, English coaches, British players, it basically became a European scouting network on the fact that our money was so much bigger than theirs. I could encourage a Campo from Real Madrid, to come along, or a Bruno Ngotti from Marseille, or a Yuri Yokayev from World Cup winner and Championship winner come and play on loan for me at Bolton Wanderers.
It's incredible.
So it was all that groundwork that we aspired to. And I'm talking about the war room now. We had a war room, that was shut off, and about the number of times we sat about how we're going to achieve it on what we've got, and all the experts I had in every department at that time coming up with the solutions of find these players with this class CV, and that we can help. Well, they were so confident, the rest of my staff, that they'd improve them. So I'm not going to improve really okay. If I'm going to, let's just get him. You know what I mean? But their belief was my belief in the end, because their time they spent with us at that particular time was just phenomenal on where we went and how far we went. So, that was some journey and some ride. But I mean, Kevin would have been on the list, but I wouldn't have been able to afford the transfer fee. I could have probably done the salary, but not the transfer fee at that particular time.
Respectfully, you played for quite a few clubs, but you must be the only player. I mean, if anybody knows anything different, do let us know. That's played for Villa, Birmingham, and Leicester, and been liked by all of the fans. How did you manage that?
And West Brom.
And West Brom.
Villa, Birmingham,
So you literally you're missing Wolves off the.
Yeah, they hate me. Yeah, they actually hate me. And my lad was in their academy for 3 years, so I spent a lot of hours at their training ground. But it's funny you say that, because I went to watch the last Birmingham game at St Andrews, and I'd never been as a fan before, and I went with a couple of mates who were blue noses, and I went into the pub before the game in the city. So we got the train, walked to the ground, stopped at a pub, and it was full of blue noses. And you're kind of thinking, how are they going to take us? Because I scored the winning goal for Villa against Birmingham at St Andrews and played for West Brom. Walked in there within 5 minutes, they're singing Super Kev, and it's like, they quickly forgot. And I think goal scorers, if you go into a team and you start scoring goals from them, they forget quite quickly who you've played for. So I'm very lucky, touch wood, whenever I've been out in Birmingham, I've always got a pout or someone's brought me a drink. So I've never. It's a bit different in Newcastle. I don't tend to go out, as you know, the rivalry there. I don't tend to go out in Newcastle. But yeah, I think goal scorers. I think you score goals. People take to you very, very quickly.
Football fans are fickle like that. Yes, we very much are. So you're well liked across the West Midlands, well liked in London as well. And you mentioned Palace before. You only played 20 games for Palace, but because of the goals he scored, because of
that Simon Jordan?
No, it was Steve Parish.
Steve Parish, Steve, yeah.
Well, they consider you a club legend for your 20 games.
Yeah, but I only signed from January. Ian Holloway signed me in the January from Blackpool, and then I stayed till the following January. And it's because I scored the winning goal at Wembley to get them to the Premier League. And again, you score an important goal. I actually scored a couple of important goals to get us into the playoffs, because when I went there, we were second in the league, and we went on a bit of looked like at one point we weren't going to make the playoffs. And I managed to score a goal the last home game of the season, and that's got us into the playoffs. And then scoring a winning goal, was, every Palace fan I see now is just still thanks us because they're still there. So
yes. I mean, yeah.
They've made a fortune over the years. And, unfortunately, I stayed there for the Premier League, first 6 months of the Premier League the following season. I couldn't really get into the team. Holloway moved on, Tony Pulis come in. And I moved on to Leicester then, where I finished my career with another promotion at the end of that season. So it was a great. I enjoyed Palace. I really did. Fantastic club. Support. Wow. The noise down there is incredible. It's not the biggest stadium in the world, but the noise they create is quite phenomenal, to be honest.
So we've got a few quick fire questions to finish for you, but they never are. They don't have to be.
They're never quick.
They're never quick. Connor asked us, what is your favourite memory of playing at Sunderland?
Probably scoring the winning goal at St James's Park in the dark. Sorry, Sam. But, as we said earlier, that North East fixture is incredible to play in, and it was my first taste of that fixture.
Absolutely, yeah.
Until you live in the area, you don't realise the rivalry between the two clubs. It's proper hatred. So to do it at St James's, we hadn't won there for years and years, and to go there, if you remember there in the rain that night, it was incredible. Yeah. It'd been raining for hours.
Is that when Shearer was on the bench?
Yeah, when Ruud Gullit put
Shearer on the bench,
Ferguson on the bench, and the rumour was if he'd have lost the game, he was losing his job the next day. So that added more fuel to the fire. We were desperate to beat them, and I managed to score the winning goal that evening. Unfortunately, Ruud lost his job the next day. So for me, that, when I think about it, obviously scoring on your debut was great, but scoring in that fixture is incredible. We saw what, even Defoe talks about it now when he scored that volley at the Stadium Alive against them. All the goals he scored in his career, he says that's right up there with one of his best. So for me, scoring that in that fixture is incredible.
Wow. Yeah, that's a great one to do. Who was the best manager you played under and why?
I played under 22 managers in my career. So.
He's got it off the top. 22 managers. I'm going to ask you to name them all.
Yeah, I probably couldn't. When I was at Southampton, I think we'd have had 5 in one season. So that obviously includes caretaker, people taking over. But for me, it has to be Reedy. Every manager has got their own qualities. So it's hard sometimes to say. Reedy for me was a good man manager. I've worked under managers who tactically were probably better. I'm not saying Reedy wasn't because he knew his job, but everyone had their strengths and qualities. But really, for me, I learned about everything off of him, but more so how to manage players, which I think nowadays is so important. He was just, if you come in, done your job, did it to your best ability, didn't have an issue with it. Didn't mind you going having a pint, being out with the lads, having a weekend away, doing whatever you do. But as long as you turn up, you work hard, and you produce the goods on Saturday, didn't have an issue. But if there was an issue, you come down on you like a ton of bricks, and you respected that. I thought Reedy for me was the best to play under.
Love that. Being on here as well, one of our guests. We like the links. We like when it all links up. Is there a club that you almost signed for that nobody knows about?
I wouldn't say almost, but my agent had chats with Tottenham when Glenn Hoddle was the manager, and Arsene Wenger as well, which for me would have been a dream come true. And I know for a fact it was between, Arsenal had to make his mind whether it was going to be between me or Francis Jeffers. And at the time, Francis was on a free, he was younger. And
Francis Jeffers on a free from Everton?
I think he got him on I don't think he had to pay a lot. I think it was a free, I can't...
It tells you a lot about Francis Jeffers, doesn't it? Must have been...
I think he was only a young kid. Yeah. So I
can't believe what Everton would letting him go if he was that.
It might have been just like not a massive fee, but I was obviously, it would have cost a lot more money. I was a lot older, and ironically now, whenever I've bumped into Arsenal, the odd thing he always said, Kevin, I think I may have got it wrong, and I'm thinking, thanks for telling me now, because that would have been. I've been a young Arsenal fan, to watch Thierry Henry for me was the best Premier League striker there's ever been. To have had a chance to train or, play with him would have been incredible.
Right, last question for today. Is it true? I love it when we start with this, Sam. Is it true that you once met Will Ferrell in a shower?
Yes, it was actually, bizarrely enough. So I think it was you when you did Soccer Aid.
Yeah, I was there then.
Soccer Aid,
I was there then, yeah.
because you had him, you had Woody Harrelson.
Yeah.
Had some
Come on
massive
with a proper
A-listers.
massive A-listers then
It
from
was like-
America.
and you can imagine me, I'm walking around it.
Yeah.
So I just remember going and we'd trained and we'd overlapped the rest of the world for some reason. The timings weren't quite right because they liked to.
We're training at Fulham ground then. We're training ground, yeah.
So we kind of it kind of coincided. We were trained. So cut long story short, I went to go in the shower and I've literally opened the door and there's Will Ferrell standing there naked.
Oh!
Just like, and you know, the what was the film he was in when he's naked?
I love all these films. There's many of
It'll
them.
come to me in Old School.
Old School, right, yeah.
So he stood there and I didn't know where to look and I just and he just went, "You all right? How you doing?" I'm like, "It's Will Ferrell standing." And I think,
he was funny, by the way, off
he couldn't kick
off
the football,
camera. No, he couldn't kick the football. Neither could Woody Harrelson, it was great having them lads come over.
He's into his football, Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
Part of the football club, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Can't seem to get them celebrities over anymore, like you mean, in Soccer Aid, like you mean. So it's a shame.
And to top it, I walked past him and Ed Norton,
Yeah.
who's a massive favourite, he's trying to get in the ice bath.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, "How do you guys get in it?"
Yeah,
I said,
yeah.
"You just got to jump." He's going down you just got to jump in.
Just got to get
so
in.
he gets in there, and as I turn to put my towel, Marvin Humes is standing there in the shower from JLS. I'm like, you can't get any better than this, surely.
No,
I'd like
it's
to
great,
have not
wasn't
met him in the shower, but it was just
One of
it
those
was a
surreal
great-
career moments.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
It's a wonderful way to raise money for charity, that was.
Yeah, it was
It's still going exceptionally well.
Yeah.
Down to Robbie and Johnny Wilkes, who set the whole thing up
That was
years
amazing.
ago.
Yeah, it was an amazing experience for me.
Oh, what a way to wear naked Will Ferrell in a
Naked
shower.
Will Ferrell in the shower.
Love that. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you very much for your
Gary,
time.
thanks very
Enjoyed
much.
Every minute of it. Thanks.
Good
very
luck.
much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And as always, thank you very much for watching No Tippy Tappy Football. We will be back next week and the week after that and all summer for the Euros.
Euros, yes, absolutely. Look forward to it.
So thank you very much for joining us. No Tippy Tappy Football brought to you by William Hill.